I am Megan and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website you can get all of your TV and film news, reviews and trailers. And I have finally watched TronAres. This was one that I missed in the cinema because I was ill for most of October last year. And this was one I was quite interested in. I really like Tron Legacy. And I was really interested in this and quite looking forward to it. But yeah, unfortunately, didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema. But it's now on Disney+. So yeah, let's review it. TronAres follows Ares, a digital soldier created by MCON's competitor Dillinger Systems. He is ordered to go on a dangerous mission that will change his programming forever. I do want to bring up very quickly as well that because this is on digital release now, I think it's just about to come on physical release or already has been. Because of that, I am just going to talk about anything, so apologies, there might be spoilers in this review. So yeah, I finally seen this and I actually really enjoyed this. I do have a couple of problems with it, but I actually really enjoyed this. I was really entertained with it and I had a lot of fun with it. Let's address the elephant in the room. And the reason why I feel like most people probably didn't go to see this, because I don't think this was a success in cinemas. And I feel like one of the reasons is Jared Leto, who plays Ares. He is the lead character, and as an actor, I think he was good in his older films, in his earlier films, but I don't think he works well as a lead character. And previous films have portrayed this and shown this. Morbius is a big one that everyone remembers, but also he is a method actor and his methods are quite controversial. We all remember what happened during the filming of the original Suicide Squad film. He's quite controversial and for other reasons outside of acting. So I do feel like this was a big part of why interest just suddenly dropped the moment Disney announced that Jared Leto was playing the main character. I liked him in his earlier films, but I do agree, I think as an actor he's grown quite stiff and wooden. However, because of that, I feel like he's quite good in this film. He's playing a digital AI soldier that's been lifted from the digital world that Dillinger Systems has created for themselves. And it does make sense for him to be a bit more wooden and a bit more straight-faced. That makes complete sense with how he's built. He is literally a digital program put into real life in human form. That makes complete sense to me, and I think he was actually quite good in this. His story is essentially Pinocchio. Like, he is a digital thing that was created solely to follow orders for military purposes, and he wants to become human. He wants to have the permanence code, which is what Dillinger Systems are after. It's how this whole film ended up unfolding, essentially. And he wants it for himself to become real. This is hinted actually right at the beginning of the film, when he has a demonstration with the company in front of Dillinger's shareholders, essentially, and he spots Rain and goes against his program to speak to the shareholders, and you can tell from the CEO that he didn't program that in. He wasn't expecting Ares to say that. So immediately he's going against his programming. He's evolving quicker than Dillinger Systems can realise. And so it makes sense later on when he does betray his creator and go against them. Like, that does make complete sense. It's hinted pretty much at the start of the film. I also thought his right-hand program, let's say, Athena, played by Jodie Turner-Smith, was also really good too. Granted, I don't feel she had as much to do as I would have liked, but she was necessary for where the plot went. Evan Peters is clearly having fun here as Julian Dillinger, and apologies, I did have to look up his first name actually on IMDb, because his first name isn't really mentioned too much in this film, so I did unfortunately kind of forget about it. So he is the current CEO of Dillinger Systems, and yeah, Evan Peters is clearly having fun in this role as someone who starts off as a really smart CEO, a really intelligent person, to someone who is so fixated on getting the permanence code from Encom, who is his competitor, we'll talk about them in a minute, that he becomes a bit of a loony. He becomes a bit of a madman and doesn't care about the stakes and the cost. He just wants the permanence code no matter what. And he is clearly having fun with this role, and I quite enjoyed his performance. Greta Lee plays Eve Kim, who is the new CEO of Encom, sorry. And I thought she was good in this, but I feel like the script, even though she does have a lot of scenes, she is a side character next to Ares. I feel like they didn't give her enough speaking parts. I feel like they didn't give her enough to do, even though she is on screen probably about 90% of the film. It still felt like they didn't really know what to do with her too much, which is a shame, because I think she could have been quite good and a lot better than what the film gives her. But I want to touch on Encom and what the film does with the company, because she is the new CEO of the company, and granted they do try and give her some emotional backstory with her sister who has passed away, who was the other CEO that shared the company with her, which I did quite enjoy. But I think at the beginning of the film they do a whole bunch of news reports of here's what's happened since Tron Legacy up until now. So Sam Flynn, who was Jeff Bridges' son in Legacy, he took over as CEO for Encom. We know this from Legacy at the end, but then he stepped down for personal reasons, and then the twins took over. Tessa, who is Eve's sister, then passed away, and Dillinger was also existing as well as a competitor. And I feel like they could have brought Sam Flynn back. I think this is the problem though with having the new film, was it 16 years later? 15 years later? It came in 2025. So 15 years later, I think obviously there is going to be that issue of bringing the old characters back. We do have Legacy sequels, so that's obviously sometimes is possible. But I do feel like even if it was just a little cameo other than just a couple of pictures in newspapers, it would have been nice to have like a proper cameo from him, or more of a reason as to why he left instead of just personal reasons and then they move on. It kind of felt like a bit of a throwaway. I'm going to reference an older film, and again, sorry but spoilers, but this is pretty much the beginning of Aliens, where they tell you that Newt has died. And it feels very much like that. It's a very throwaway line where it's just like, oh, couldn't you have tried to bring him back? I don't know, maybe he didn't want to or couldn't. But yeah, I feel like that was a bit like, oh, okay. we're just we're just wiping the slate clean then, I guess. Just like Tron Legacy, this looks amazing. This does look incredible. Granted, we don't get too much actually in the grid because it's Dillinger Systems this time and not Encom, but I think it does look amazing, and once the sort of recognizer and the light cycles get transferred over to the real world, and this was in the trailer, it looks really cool because you can really see how stylish and clean and bright and vibrant those vehicles are when you compare it to our real world. When you compare it to our vehicles, it looks really, really quite amazing. Again, this is where one of my problems is. The pacing's a little all over the place. We don't get to, everything is coming into the real world. We don't get that until like maybe halfway through the film. So I was kind of waiting for that because the trailer gave you the impression that that was going to be the whole film. It's not. That happens about halfway through or past the halfway mark. Granted, what you get before that I think is interesting, but yeah, I was kind of waiting for that to happen. I think the pacing is a little bit all over the place. There's a lot of scenes that are quite slow that shouldn't have been. There's a couple of shots where I thought you should have cut to the next shot a lot earlier. So it does have pacing problems, it does have editing problems. But at the same time, it was really cool to see these vehicles being put into the real world. And the police chase scene, which again, part of it was in the trailer, is one of the best scenes in the film. It's incredible and it's fantastic. I think the sequence that was shown in the trailer was the light cycle in front of the police car. They bring out the light line and it chops one of the cars in half. But that whole sequence, yeah, is one of the best in the films. That was incredible. Plus also visually, I think it's interesting because later on in the film, there is a cameo from Jeff Bridges, which again, unfortunately was in the trailer. I wish they hadn't shown that, because Ares at one point, to try and find him, travels back to the original Tron, which was so cool to see. That looked incredible and looked very similar to the first film. So Disney have clearly gone back and looked at the older film to see how to recreate it or like to replicate it. And yeah, it looks amazing. That looked so, so cool. And it was nice to have an interesting mixture of technology. Obviously, you got the visuals from the 80s Tron, so the older technology, as well as the newer Tron and the more updated technology. And I feel like it's really interesting at the moment because a lot of films are doing the trope of, oh, AI is bad, AI is the villain, which... true to life, really. True to the real world and what's going on with AI at the moment, and generative AI at the moment. I've talked about this before with a short film. But I think while it is very quickly becoming an overused trope, I feel like Tron is the best one to do that with. It is the best film to do that with because it's all about advancing technologies and what you can do with technologies. This really feels like as well a look at the future of 3D printing. Well, maybe years and years from now. Not the immediate future, but already you can do a lot with 3D printing. I think it's really interesting that this sort of, I guess, doesn't comment on it, but it's a look into maybe this technology can exist at some point. You know, people look at Star Trek, you know, decades back and think, well, that technology will never exist. And some of it does now. So I feel like this is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I'm sure this type of technology or something similar will come along at some point. Same with the whole thing of AI. And I think the commentary there is the whole, yes, AI is evolving quicker than we can keep up with. Especially near the end where Julian gives Athena an order. And then he gets confused when Athena kills his mother, who was trying to stop the Recognizer from coming into the real world. And Athena just goes, but I'm just following your order. You told me to do this no matter what, and to get rid of any obstacles in my way. I'm just doing what you told me to do. So it's interesting that we overall think we have control over this technology, but eventually it's that trope of we think we're in control, but eventually it's going to become in control of us and we won't know what to do until it's too late. Very, very used trope, but I feel like it actually works here and it's the best film to use it for. The score is 9 Inch Nails, but it's done by 9 Inch Nails. And while I do like the score, I do feel that some of the songs don't work with the scenes that are going on. So Daft Punk did the Legacy soundtrack. And even though they're electronic music, they did have some tracks that are quite softer and quieter for those type of more quieter moments. But it feels like 9 Inch Nails didn't really listen to that memo, because a lot of the music is very upbeat, very loud, very like wah in your face. And that doesn't always suit a couple of the scenes or a few of the scenes that are taking place in the film. On its own, the score is fantastic, but it doesn't always suit some of the scenes in TronAres. And then finally, there is a mid-credits scene. So Julian, essentially to avoid the police because his company has caused so much damage trying to find this code, that in order to escape from the police, he transfers himself into the Dillinger grid. And the disc, the ID disc, is made for him and it looks different from anything else. It's basically a grey disc with a red spiral in the middle. He picks it up and it's kind of implied that he changes into one of the enemies from the very first Tron. I'm not really sure what it was trying to say with that. Like, was it a repeating cycle that's just going to never end? Or was it just a reference. I'm not really sure what they were trying to go with that one. Maybe the Dillinger systems ends up becoming the grid that we know from the original film. Or yeah, it could just be a reference. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think the Rotten Tomatoes and the critic reviews are very interesting because a lot of people have been saying that this is very style over substance. Here's the thing about the Tron films. They always have been. They always have been. The last film got that criticism, the original film got that criticism, and all of them have flopped. None of them have ever done very well in the cinema. So I think it's interesting that the cycle just always repeats itself. You know, the first Tron film, when it was released, it was created so Disney could demonstrate, here's what you can do with visual effects. Technology, CGI technology, and visual effects was a new technology that would still be new for the next few years, but it was up and coming, and Disney made that film to demonstrate, here's what you can do with it. Again, Tron Legacy was a big demonstration of de-aging technology, which was very early at the time. And again, an advancement in 3D technology. I feel like Legacy would have probably done better, though, if Avatar 1 hadn't come out like a month or two beforehand. But that's what it was trying to demonstrate. And each film has flopped and had the same criticism over and over and over. Yes, it's style over substance. That is literally why each film has been created. And I think critics need to accept that and kind of push that criticism aside. Because, yeah, it is. What's wrong with that? I enjoyed this. I'm glad I finally got to watch it. I also had some pacing issues as well, but overall, I really enjoyed this. I had a really fun time with this. But I was Megan. This is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.